Hello, everyone. This is a recap of my year-long experiment, and I just wanted to discuss a little bit about why I feel I had success. And this will be a lead-in to my next video where I'm going to try to break down how to contact your higher self in the most efficient way, because if you had followed my whole series, I probably didn't do it in the most efficient way, but I did it, as I now understand, probably in the most perfect way that I could at this time for myself, because I had a lot of beliefs that were in conflict with my ability to be able to do it, to be able to contact my higher self. So I'm going to just talk about three specific days throughout the year that were significant points. You can always go back and look at the video if you wanted, but it's not really necessary. But about 20 days in to my experiment on the 18th of December, 2011, and that was week number 3. It's a week 3 vid. I had a vision of all the people at my work um, where I can improve my thoughts about. This was a significant point, and it was very early on in my experiment in trying to contact my higher self, um, because before having having before I started doing this experiment, I really felt like my work life was doing pretty well. I had improved it quite a bit, and I had I was totally um, oblivious to the fact that I had these feelings towards these coworkers that could improve. Let's put it that way. Um, I may have known on an unconscious level that I had these feelings, but I just didn't even think about improving them. And when it was kind of glancing through all these people, and I started to realize, oh my God, I'm feeling this towards this person. I can improve that. I can improve this, and I can improve that, and it's was a significant change of mind, one that I would not have had, an experience that I wouldn't have improved upon had I not gone through this. And one of the main reasons why I feel like um, I have had contact with my higher self, because it has made a big improvement in my life. Um, and um, it's one of those things where um, initially I thought that I needed to get documented proof and be able to prove it, and I thought that I could make a logical explanation of why I felt like I um, could break down why I believe that I contacted my higher self. And at that point, that's where my mindset was. At this point, after the year has been over, I realized that that was really kind of a futile. Uh, um, I don't know how to describe it. It was um, there was really no amount of proof that I would have uncovered um, that would have convinced me or anyone else um, that I was talking to my higher self. The only way that I was really going to get that aha moment was to get things that would affect my life, you know. And that was really what your higher self is really interested in. Your higher self's not really interested in trying to get you to, you know, tell you what, tomorrow's, next MRI is going to be. That's really not very important for that. Not even it wasn't even important for me. Um, Now, if I had been a different type of person, like uh, Thomas Campbell was more of a scientist, um, had a more scientific mindset, and maybe those beliefs were more entrained, maybe your higher self would have cooperated a little bit more. Um, but again, your higher self kind of is you, knows you, and knows what you need to be able to break down the beliefs that you need to be able to establish that communication. So that wasn't really necessary for me, and I go through a lot of weeks where I was trying to get some documented proof, which wasn't really what I was looking for anyway. The whole point of why I wanted to get in contact with my higher self was to get something um, to improve my life. And that was the first time where I got that, and it was something that I would have never really thought of had I not had that vision in my meditation. Um, and then I go through a long spell where I really don't have much of anything. There's a lot of hit and miss stuff going on. And it wasn't until 106 days in, week 16, where I finally talked to a being that I now know as my higher self, as Solomon. And it's at that time, even though I'm speaking to some, this is where I'm talking about your belief systems kind of block you sometimes. I'm speaking to a being, and the first one of the big questions I start to ask, which is really silly, I ask if he had any suggestions on how I could succeed in contacting my higher self. I'm speaking to my higher self at this point. So, and the funny thing is, your higher self is never really going to turn you away and is always going to be very supportive. That's one of the big reasons why you'll know that you're speaking to your higher self, because even though I'm asking a pretty silly question, you know, there, the voice was very understanding of where I was, and was basically saying to continue to try. It was very understanding, and it knew that I would. It said, and I even wrote down. I said it felt like you know the being was very confident that I was going to succeed in my experiment, and so that was a big event. But again, I still had obviously some beliefs that were stopping me. I didn't believe I was actually talking to my higher self, even though I was. And you can't really go beyond your belief uh, barriers. And so those barriers needed to be broken down. And so, again, I get a couple of things throughout those next few weeks. Um, that obviously ended up breaking it down enough um, for him to name himself, which happened at 168 days in, so 2 months later, um, and that was on May 15th, 2012, week 25. And the being finally described himself as Solomon and gave me a whole slew of advice. And that's when the kind of the floodgates really started to open. When he was able to finally come through, I got a bunch of different information that I was exposed to, that some of it I may have known, but it was just making it more clear for me. And the reason why it was making it more clear for me is because it was telling me in a way that would break down a certain belief that I had. Um, and so, again, you're only going to get information in in the way that you can perceive it through your beliefs. Your beliefs are your filters of your reality. So if you have a certain belief, you're not really going to grasp certain information. So it was telling me telling it to me in the way that was most perfect for me to have that aha moment. It was like that aha, when I break down this one belief, I don't believe that anymore. I realize this doesn't really belong to me anymore. This belief is, and so now I trust, you know, what my higher self is telling me, and I trust this and I trust that, and I go through the rest of my experiment like that, where I'm just breaking down beliefs. I mean, through the most of the rest of the experiment, there's really not a lot of concrete evidence that I'm just able to say, aha, he predicted this or he did this or whatever, and because that wasn't important to me. Again, what was important to me was how he could improve my life, and how he can advise me in the best way that that he can to help me grow as a loving spiritual being. That was my initial goal when I started, and that's why I felt like I succeeded. I felt like I succeeded because I did improve my life. The proof is in the pudding, I guess, is what it comes down to. And you know, I guess in theory you could say that maybe you didn't contact your higher self, it was all coming from you. But at the same time, if it's coming from you, then there's this internal wisdom within you that already knows um, all the loving things that you need to do to improve your life. So, ultimately, does it really matter if it was another being, a non-physical being, or if it's just your inner voice that is you? There's a wisdom there that is there and can be accessed, and and the way that you access it is by believing that you can. So, and also realizing that whatever you're getting in the most perfect way that you can at this time. This time is the most perfect way that it's coming to you. And when you accept that and just accept and you realize that everything's coming to you in the perfect way, you'll start to break down beliefs and you'll get more and more. And again, I'll go through this a little bit more in another separate video where I'm just going to kind of go through my suggestions on how to contact your higher self. So hopefully this is a nice little summary of why I believe I had success, and again, for those that didn't follow my little experiment throughout the year, it's a nice little shortcut videos, so you don't have to go through all of them to see everything. There's a few in there that are interesting, but at least I highlighted some of them for you, so you can kind of skip through the ones where I'm doing a lot of hit and miss, trying to find out what my next MRI in the morning is going to be. So thank you everyone for watching, and take care.